You're watching ABC10 Plus This Week.
Hello, I'm Laura Painter. You're watching ABC10 Plus This Week. The Fulton El Camino Park District Police Department is facing an uncertain future. ABC10 investigative reporter Andy Judson looks at why. Plus, in dollars and cents, what a change in the federal interest rate could mean for home buyers. Then, on the back roads, John Bartel takes us birdwatching in Lodi to see the annual sandhill crane migration. ABC10 Plus This Week starts right now.
Tonight, there is a big controversy at a small police department. The Fulton El Camino Park District's police department oversees dozens of local parks in Sacramento County, but it's facing an uncertain future. That's why several employees contacted ABC10.
They're now worried how management is spending your tax dollars, claiming some things happening behind the scenes are things the public needs to know. ABC10 investigative reporter Andy Judson has the details.
Welcome to one of the smallest police departments in our region.
Years ago, they created the park police.
The team of 11 oversees parks, a lot of them.
Just over 100.
Why a police department for parks?
We've had needles and drug paraphernalia that we've had to pick up before we let our kids go out there.
We want to make sure that the parks are safe.
Safe for those who play at any age.
We are also protected in the nature too. Trees, ponds, rivers, animals, the people, sports teams, weddings, concerts, everyone.
The department's been around since the 60s. It's under the Fulton El Camino Park District, and its officers believe it's really important.
The absence of crime shows that the police department's being successful.
Park police employees say their agency eases the Sacramento Sheriff's workload and often responds faster, as the Sheriff's Office is tied up with high-priority calls county-wide. It's why, to some residents, the small department makes a big difference.
Oh my gosh, I could not personally live without the Fulton El Camino Park Police.
They do a lot more for the community than the community even realizes.
Officers and rangers don't make a living from this job.
Everybody is part-time.
We all come in outside our normal full-time jobs.
Each employee gets around $200 a week, records show. That's less pay than at California fast food chains.
It's about giving back to the community that I live in.
But employees question what's happening inside the agency, especially with their interim police chief, Chief Beth Johnson.
I would say it's unprecedented.
ABC10 spoke with 9 current and former park police and district employees, all of whom voiced similar concerns. 2 agreed to speak on camera, representing their colleagues on the condition their identities be protected.
I can recall being notified that she had been hired 2 days before she began working.
Board of Directors regular meeting is called to order at 7:15.
The police chief position was never posted, records requests reveal, and there was no swearing-in ceremony for Johnson, these employees say.
And the reason that was surprising is because when chiefs of police and interim chiefs of police have hired, there's a very specific and public process that goes into it.
These employees believe the legally required background check, psychological, and medical evaluation were never done on Johnson.
None of that was done. You will not find another chief of police role where a chief of police, interim or permanent, is simply selected.
When ABC10 asked if the required checks were done for Johnson, the district did not answer. They said the Fulton El Camino Park District's board approved her selection from retired police chiefs with the assistance of recruiters specializing in law enforcement hiring. All of these concerns about Chief Johnson lead to an even bigger question. Why is she being paid so much?
It's incomprehensible to me.
She gets around $16,800 a month, records show. That's over $220,000 a year of public funds for her part-time position.
Which is the highest Fulton El Camino Parks and Recreation District has ever paid a person.
When Erickson was chief, records he provided ABC10 show the most he made in an entire year was $16,300, less than what Johnson makes in a month.
I think I got like $50 an hour. I don't understand it, but the board must have approved it.
The board approved it, despite records listing the annual pay for the park police chief position at $32 an hour, around $33,000 annually.
And she's in the Bay Area. She's not even here.
My relationship has been non-existent, and I would say that is the same feeling shared by every single member of this agency.
The district defended Johnson's hiring, calling her a 30-year veteran in California law enforcement, and was brought on to assess issues identified by outside reviews of the agency. Here's Johnson discussing the police department in an August meeting.
We are not functioning as we should as a police department. That is incredibly dangerous, both for our staff and for the district.
The district did not respond to our questions about her salary. Employees have their own opinion on why she's there.
So you're saying Beth was hired to disband the FEC Park Police?
That's correct.
Employees say since arriving to run the department, Johnson seems to be leading a charge to shut it down.
Disbanded. And that breaks my heart. I mean, it almost makes me teary-eyed.
They claim the Park District's general manager, Emily Ballas, handed Johnson the job in an effort to dismantle the police department.
Emily's primary goal is disbanding the agency.
The department's been operating successfully for years, but once Ballas came on board, the number of contracted parks they oversee dwindled.
As of 2 years ago, we were overseeing just over 100, and now we're about 60 to 70.
ABC10 tried to speak with Ballas multiple times. She declined. In a written statement, she said the district's considering options to make sure the police department aligns with professional standards due to significant changes in California law and community expectations around policing, and why she says they hired outside experts to review the agency.
They could not have been cheap.
Ballas told ABC10 they spent over $42,000 on multiple reviews or audits of the police department over the last 3 years.
So auditing any government entity is a very common thing. What is unusual is the successive amount of them that have been conducted. I believe there's been 3 or 4 over the past number of years.
So put simply, you believe these audits are being done in an effort to disband the Park Police?
Yes.
ABC10 reviewed 2 audits. They highlighted issues including inadequate training, part-time staffing, and a need for better policies and record keeping. Johnson and Ballas have continued to refer to the audit's findings, like in this meeting.
How we are currently functioning is a huge risk to this district. It is unprofessional. It is not acceptable in current modern-day policing, so a shift does have to happen.
I actually feel our liability is as low as it could possibly be. We've had 1 officer-involved shooting in the history of the agency.
Emails provided to ABC10 show years ago, Park Police employees tried to address and fix other issues highlighted in the audits. Instead of considering these suggestions, sources allege General Manager Ballas ordered costly audits. Meanwhile, meeting minutes show Johnson naming the police department as a financial hardship.
We cannot properly fund a police department as it currently stands. And so that's kind of the bigger issue.
If they're talking about budget and they're talking about saving money, how can they spend, first, all this money on these audits?
And how can they spend all this money on not just Johnson's salary, but also Ballas's, sources ask. Together, Johnson and Ballas make over $334,000. So 2 people make the equivalent of 66% of the Park Police's annual budget.
That money could easily be distributed to more training, vehicle repairs, better equipment.
Yet the Park District is asking taxpayers for more money this election through Measure Q. The bond would give the Park District $24 million for improvements on lighting, cameras, fencing, and other structures. More money, but not for the police department, leaving employees with even more questions.
Are they doing what's best for the community with those taxpayer dollars?
That was our Andy Judson reporting. If the Park Police Department is shut down, the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office will take over responding to calls.
Yeah, but Park Police employees are concerned because the Sheriff's Office is short-staffed. The Sheriff's Office says they currently are down about 100 employees.
We also asked the Sheriff's Office about the possible closure of the Park Police. They declined to comment until there's a decision.
We all know Sonoma County is known around the world for its wine, but that grape-friendly Sonoma climate is also great for another well-known California crop. Here's meteorologist Brendan Minchef with the details.
Sonoma County. For many people, Sonoma conjures up images of rolling hills, world-class vineyards, and weekend wine tasting getaways. However, there's more than just grapes being grown here.
There are some new rules and regulations around the corner, which is going to create more public access to these farms, potentially retail sales. Sonoma County is headed in a quite progressive direction as it relates to cannabis and tourism.
Sonoma County has a great climate for growing grapes, but it's also a great climate for cannabis. The warm, dry summers, cool overnights, and late start to the rainy season means in the fall, you can end up with a field like this.
It's got its challenges like growing cannabis anywhere.
Eric Pearson is a cannabis grower in Sonoma County and CEO of Spark. He's grown cannabis in California for more than a decade.
You know, this year's been great. You know, it's been extremely dry, a little bit hotter than we like, but with that we get drier evenings and drier mornings, and that results in less mold pressure, and that results in us letting the flowers fully mature, which it's those last week or so that really you count on to really get a ripe fruit.
Like most things grown in Sonoma, occasional fog, molds, and temperature swings pose natural challenges to the cannabis crop. And in recent years, the heat has become more of a concern.
It's just hotter. We've never had 102. It's not great for the flower production, but at least if it's hot, it's not wet, typically.
Temperature plays a part in the color and taste of the cannabis. Extended periods of heat mellow out the flavor.
Well, here's a nice purple one here. That's kind of pretty there. I don't know if that's too far away. This one back here.
And you want that color, right?
Yeah, people like purple. Well, they'll be picky sometimes. There's too purple, they don't want it. It's hard to please people sometimes.
With the calendar approaching November and the nights getting cooler, the harvest is in full swing. And following a great growing season, there's a lot of work to be done.
And so what we're doing right now is we're getting all of our cannabis hung dry. So we have these awesome racks that we're able to double stack, and we have this amazing facility that we're able to actually control all the temperatures and variables.
Max Bowen also grows cannabis in Sonoma, which he says is the best place to grow. Watching the harvest come in from the fields, it's easy to see why.
This is freshly cut off the plant. We cut it to size of the bins so it fits exactly on the hangers as we need it to maximize every square inch. And when we're in here, a lot of the workers are able to spot issues maybe we didn't catch in the field. This is going to be probably a 10 to 12 hour day. We actually hand trim everything, whereas a lot of people will use machines.
Once cannabis is trimmed and hung, it's moved to huge drying rooms on site.
We aim to get the moisture content of this plant down to 50% within as quick as we can, really, to stop any molds that may be hanging out. And then after we get it down to 50%, we ease back the system a little bit to let it dry slower, so we get a better cure. Preserves more of the terpenes, which is what creates the smell of the cannabis.
During my visit, this room smelled the most like cannabis. Plants in the field had that distinctive smell, but it was more amplified in this confined space. And Eric tells me that's a good thing.
You trim it, you put it into a bag, and then when you open that bag, you want it to still smell. As you get further down the process and closer to the bag, it gets more and more challenging to preserve that nose. The consumer wants that smell, whether it be something more along the lines of like a diesel or fuel, or something more tropical like a lime or a lemon.
The cannabis will stay in this room for 10 to 14 days. From here, it gets trimmed and shipped to Santa Rosa to be produced and packaged. If it passes strict safety testing, it'll be shipped to dispensaries across the state. If it doesn't pass, they have to discard the entire batch.
We have such stringent testing that it's down to the parts per billion in the plants. And if we even tried to use something, it would come up in a test and we'd have to throw it away. One of the biggest issues a lot of farmers here in Sonoma County have gone up against is when they're next to vineyards. The stuff that are neighboring the fences all start testing dirty. It's a real problem.
But the weather and vineyard pesticides aren't the only challenges these growers face.
We're working with our county government right now to make changes in the ordinance. We have a canopy tax here that's charged locally. I think it's like $35,000 an acre. It was twice that for outdoor. We've got that reduced significantly last year.
Eric and Max say unlike cannabis farmers, grape growers face far fewer taxes in Sonoma County and have extensive subsidies, giving wineries in Sonoma a competitive economic edge.
Why would you want to tax your businesses a whole bunch in your county and make them less competitive on a state level? When I have a cultivation tax I have to pay here, I have to pass that through on the product that I sell, and I'm selling my product up and down the state of California. That means my product, when it gets to LA, is going to cost more money than that product coming from a county that doesn't have a cultivation tax, right?
Eric says reducing taxes is a relatively easy change that would help immediately.
Not necessarily politically easy to do, but in theory, an easy law to change.
Another element of cannabis law Eric would like to see changed regards tourism, being able to invite the public to the farms. That's something not currently allowed under county law.
You've got your people watching TV, think this is interesting. Allow me to be able to say, you know what, you can come on up and take a look at it, you know, and you can buy cannabis from our little farm stand here. You can come out, you can have a nice afternoon and do your thing. That would be hugely beneficial to us.
And we reached out to Sonoma County about what they are doing to help cannabis growers. They said in a statement, part quote, the County of Sonoma is committed to supporting the legal cannabis industry and has been proactive in working to establish a regulatory framework for the legal cannabis market that is consistent with state law and build on input from both the public and industry stakeholders. They say since 2021, they launched a review of their cannabis program, amended cannabis business tax rates, and awarded grant funding to eligible operators impacted by the war on drugs. And you can read their full statement right now on ABC10.com.
A 10 on Your Side investigation revealed new concerns about vegetation management by PG&E. And tonight, the company is talking only to ABC10 about the controversy.
There is a process for customers who, if you have any concern about the vegetation management work that was done on your property.
Paul Moreno with PG&E speaking out after Justin Chrysler sent 10 on Your Side these pictures, saying, I'm reaching out to see if you want to cover PG&E contractors coming out for jobs, then leaving the jobs unfinished with wood, debris, and trash on properties next to power poles to fuel future fires.
Tree work left everywhere and just an absolute mess.
Many customers want this wood. They use this wood for firewood.
But it turns out Mr. Chrysler is not alone. Mary says these clowns cut 4 or 5 trees on my property and left the mess everywhere. Their ignorant workers cut through my deer fence that I had to pay to get repaired because they were too lazy to walk 50 feet. Terry from El Dorado County says for no less than 7 consecutive years, various vegetation management subcontracting under PG&E used PG&E shade easement rights to enter my property and leave more downed wildfire fuel than was present prior to their visit.
If there's ever an issue that a customer has, if the job was left messy behind and they have concerns, we do encourage them to call us.
The challenge, though, Paul, is that this gentleman claimed he had been reaching out and that he wasn't really getting anywhere.
Well, we do strive to make ourselves available for customers so they can be in touch with us. And certainly if that's not happening in a situation, we certainly want to know about it.
Moreno says wood greater than 4 inches in diameter could potentially have marketable value, so the PG&E policy is to leave it on the customer's property.
Well, it's important to remember that the wood that is left behind does belong to the property owner, but we understand there are certain cases where maybe that wood was put in a position that is too close to the home or causing some sort of a blockage.
PG&E confirms after 10 on Your Side got involved, they reached out to Mr. Chrysler and he filled out a wood management form that will allow PG&E to return to his property to pack up the wood and remove it for him.
Every case is different and each case is handled on its own merits.
And ABC10 is here to help. Do you have a problem and don't know where else to turn? Email me at onyourside@abc10.com.
In tonight's Dollars and Cents, The Federal Reserve has just lowered interest rates for the first time in months after reaching record highs last year. Many of you are now wondering, what does this mean for my home or my ability to afford a home? I talk with a local real estate expert on how the Fed's latest interest rate change is impacting our area's housing market.
It's a welcome change.
Sacramento-based broker and owner of Greenhaven Capital, Kevin Odo, tells me the Federal Reserve's half a percentage point decrease last month has a lot of his clients asking how that'll change mortgage rates. But he says the Fed rate only explains part of the story.
When the Fed changes the federal fund rate, that doesn't mean mortgage rates are going to fall at the same time.
Right now, long-term fixed-rate mortgage rates are at 6.4%.
We actually saw rates fall ahead of the rate drop. So rates were coming down even before the Fed announcement. And then funny enough, even after the Fed announcement, we saw interest rates actually go up.
Mortgage lender Freddie Mac says compared to a year ago, rates are more than 1 percentage point lower. This means good news for potential home buyers, especially if they shop around for the best quote. You'll want to do that because rates can vary widely between mortgage lenders.
In Sacramento, we still have a relatively strong market. We've seen inventory tick up a little bit, but overall, we still have historically low inventory.
Lower mortgage rates are expected to spark more buyers to enter the market. But with that comes more competition and potentially higher prices.
Buyers are very cautious when it comes to affordability, the price that they're paying. And I feel like sellers, they can't really get top dollars unless they're adding value, unless they're, providing a competitively priced home, or if they have a unique property that people want.
But Odo warns, don't focus on timing the market. Instead, focus on a payment you can afford and a home that suits your budget and fits your needs.
If rates drop, you have a chance to refinance later, but timing the market is ultimately impossible, and you could really miss out on a golden opportunity.
Experts say lower mortgage rates can bring down a home buyer's monthly mortgage payment, but keep in mind, high home prices are still keeping a lot of people from buying homes. One report by NPR says overall home prices in the U.S. have risen about 50% since early 2020. The conversation doesn't end here. Watch more of my Dollars and Cents stories. Just head over to ABC10 Plus. The app is free and available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. You can also email me your questions at lpainter@abc10.com.
The Pacific Flyway. It's one of the 4 major bird migration routes in North America. And one of the frequent flyers on this avian superhighway is the sandhill crane.
This is it. This is it.
They're kind of noisy guys, aren't they?
Very noisy.
Every fall, a select group of these migratory birds leave the chill of Canada and Alaska to winter here in the Sacramento Valley.
The young birds are born up north. They migrate down here with mom and dad. Migration is a learned behavior. It's not innate.
Mimi Starr and Jane Adams are docents with the annual Lodi Sandhill Crane Festival, which offers 50 different tours to see these birds, one of which I signed up for.
Well, I can't emphasize enough for me how fortunate we are to have these birds here in California.
Sandhill cranes are some of the oldest birds known to man. Their fossils date back 9 million years ago, and so do some of their migration routes.
We expect tonight, if it's like it was last weekend, we should probably get about 1,000 that'll come into just this pond alone.
Despite their numbers, the sandhill crane is a skittish bird.
They're really far away.
During the day, the flock, or herd as they're technically called, separates and forages for food in either farmers' fields, creeks, or rivers. But right as the sun sets, the cranes gather together in a pond or marshland. And this is the best time to get a picture.
Let me show you. I'm looking for good light to where I can see the details of the feathers.
Doug Ridgway's been photographing sandhill cranes for years and takes a far better image than I can.
It must require a pretty good lens.
It helps.
Yeah.
Then again, a good lens may not help. Just ask longtime sandhill crane tour guide Howard Larimar.
Yep, they're wild animals. People sometimes come on these tours expecting that they'll see cranes, and they may or may not, because they're wild animals.
Well, if that happens, I guess you can do what Jill Coffins and Randy Baxter do. Grab a glass of wine and just listen to the cranes.
I think even with us in the foreground, you can hear the birds in the background, And that's half the experience, is just hearing the sound. You know, the sound gets really big.
From the Sandhill Crane Festival, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the backroads.
Thank you so much for watching ABC 10 Plus this week. Stay tuned to ABC 10 Plus in the days ahead as we cover the election. Ballots are due Tuesday. We'll have live coverage from ABC News. On Tuesday night, we'll be live at 5 p.m. with the latest results and analysis. Remember, we're here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 Plus streaming app. I'm Laura Painter. Take care and see you next time.
This election, the stakes could not be higher.
And ABC 10 has all the national, state, and local election coverage you need.
Watch us live on ABC 10 or streaming on ABC 10 Plus.
For up-to-the-minute results on all our races, propositions, and the contest for the White House.
And we'll break down the results as they come in with our experts. Watch Your Voice, Your Vote Tuesday night live and streaming on ABC 10 Plus. Coverage starts at 5 p.m.
ABC 10, we stand for you.
Thanks for watching ABC 10 Plus. And now that you're here, why don't we take a look around and see what else is here? The very first tile on your left is always going to be streaming 24/7. You can find us adjacent to that, breaking news if it's there. And then right next to that, a replay of the most recent newscast. Whether it's ABC 10 Morning News at 5, 6, or beyond, it's going to be there. The forecast beyond that, and then right beyond that, the news that matters the most. Now that you know the basic tiles, let's go up to the top and take a deeper dive into news. We have every single newscast that you would need, including To the Point with Alex Bell, taking a deeper dive into the issues. Beyond that, ABC 10 Morning News at 5 and 6 and 11, the evening shows as well. Below that, you can watch the top stories from To the Point. Under that, Dollars and Cents, where you can learn how to navigate this challenging economy. And below that, you can watch our award-winning ABC 10 Special Investigations, where we hold the powerful accountable. Going into weather, look, it's the 10-day forecast, getting you ready for the weekend and beyond. Beyond that, sports. I know you care about the Sacramento Kings. We have the most comprehensive guide to anything, everything Kings in the locker room and on the court. We have it. Below that, I know you care about the San Francisco 49ers. We can't mention Bay Sports without talking about the Oakland A's. We have that too. What's super exciting, I know you care about high school sports. You'll never find a more comprehensive guide and team dedicated to high school sports. Backing out again, come up to the top and join me on Verify. I'm super excited about this. Our experts are checking the facts, verifying the truth for you. Jump up now to shows. Very excited about this. Oh, look, it's Take a Look. This is my show. I love movies, and if you love movies or streaming shows, whether it's on screens this big, or this big, it's Take a Look. Recently went behind the scenes, sat down with Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix to talk about Joker 2. I love the movie, and oh, I just heard you shout you hate the movie. Jump in, we talk about it on this show. Other shows, Bartel's Backroads, go up and down the state of California, tank of gas getaways, one fuel cell getaway, like places like the Toy Museum. This is what kids did before they had screens. Over here, the Moaning Caverns of Calaveras County, one of the most coveted caves in all of California. You know, watching this show, I discovered there's a cave that could fit the entire Statue of Liberty in your own backyard. You'll find about that and more with Bartel's Backroads. Down below that, To the Point. It is one of my favorite newscasts because they talk about news with Alex Bell the way you talk about news. It's conversational, but in-depth at the same time. Below that, Your California Life. Love this show. Whether it's entertainment, food, beverage, lifestyle, it's there. Desiree Shepherd hosts and does an amazing job. So there you have it. It's ABC 10 Plus, the app. What do you need? We heard you and we got it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for streaming.